But anyway, black flag between Taylor Canfield and Mike Buckley. Buckley, we think, has earned that. Canfield, very aggressive sailor, one of the best sailors out here, actually. He's the top-ranked sailor from North America. He's from the U.S. Virgin Islands, and is a race director, a waterfront director at the Chicago Match Race Center. So he and his team spend a lot of time in these boats. That gives them actually a bit of an advantage against other teams that don't. They know all the little nuances of how the boats perform, and just like a Formula One race car driver, he is able to know exactly where the boat is, how to position it properly, and then take tactical advantage of his opponents.
Okay, so we have Scotty out on the water, and we're going to check in with him and see if he can tell us what happened. So Scotty, can you give us a quick rundown of what you saw that led up to a black flag, please?
Yeah, hi Annie, broadcasting live from on the water, and yeah, we've just had the pre-start for round robin 2, match number 1, and it was Taylor Canfield versus Mike Buckley, and Mike Buckley entering from the port end and just simply wasn't able to get out of jail. Tried some moves. He received one penalty, then he received a second penalty for hitting the mark, and then eventually didn't keep clear a second time, which resulted in a third penalty, which, as we saw yesterday, that's an instant black flag. So Taylor Canfield, the disher-outer of black flags. And so right now we're in the pre-start of match number 2, and there should be more fireworks because this is Hardesty and Shested, which basically a repeat of the first flight this morning where we saw fireworks in that one as well. So it's going to be exciting out here today, Annie.
Thank you, Scotty. I'm going to try to broadcast so he can hear me too. Thank you, Scotty, and standing by to hear anything. Feel free to give me a call if you see something exciting happening again. In the meantime, it'll be Dobbs and me out here on the front of the pier talking about what we're about to see. Okay, so in the next heat we have Sehested on boat number 7 and Bill Hardesty on boat number 3. Hardesty with a yellow flag. He'll be entering from our perspective from the left, and Sehested from the right. 7 and 3. Those are the boats we're looking for. I see 7 along the breakwater down there on starboard tack. That means the wind's coming from the right-hand side. Looks like they might have had a delay because, oh, nope. They're side by side. We can't see the other boat because they're behind them. They're doing the pre-start maneuvers, the dance, if you will, that happens before the start. And I believe we have about 1 minute and 45 seconds before their start. When they start, there's a 1 minute countdown for the next group to actually enter the box. So there are 5 minutes between starts. But when one group has a starting signal, it's not actually when they start, it's when they're supposed to start. They could be a minute late for all we know. Once their starting signal has gone off, there's 1 minute for the next group to enter the box, and they enter from the windward, from opposite ends. They go down and they aim at each other. The boat with the yellow flag has the right of way. The boat with the blue flag, entering from the port side, has to give way. And what we generally see is they both aim at each other like a chicken game in a car, and then at the last second they head up into the wind, their sails are luffing, and they sit there until one of them can have control over the other. And then what we normally see is the two boats heading off towards our left looking downwind, or their right looking upwind. There goes 3 and 7. There's about 35 seconds to go before the start. They're luffing. Number 3 is luffing the other boat. They're right next to the committee boat with the orange flag there. They're both going to be able to make this starting line. And now it's all about getting speed at the right time and control. So it's about 20 seconds to go before number 3 and number 7 start. 3 is Hardesty, and Sehested is number 7.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Great. So you heard it. That was the start of the second pairing. And the first pairing, if you just got here, Buckley was black flagged. You can get a penalty, and you can hold it to the end. But if you get 2 penalties, the rule is you have to take one right away. If you get another penalty, the third penalty, or if you don't take the second one in time, then they'll black flag you and game over. There's quite a big spread, isn't there, Dobbs, between those 2 boats? They're not very close together.
Well, that's right. And I don't know, Annie, if you've talked about this, but one of the ways to win in sailboat racing, and particularly match racing, is not just being faster than your competitor, but by using the wind shifts. The team that sails less distance to the top mark will get ahead, and one way to do that is to play the wind shifts carefully. So as the wind shifts, the boats tack. So they're looking not only at where they are relative to the competitors, but using all these little 5 and 10 degree wind shifts. And
it's a close race out there. You know, from our perspective, it was hard to tell how close they really were. But number 7 going in on starboard forced number 3 to tack. 3 had a choice to either go behind him or to tack. They opted to tack. And what we've seen so far is generally more pressure over to our right or to their left looking upwind. But right now, Dobbs, looking over to our left, there's some nice pressure there. But both boats eventually have to come up to this white mark is what we're guessing it is the default mark. And they have to go through this light air to get here one way or the other. And as you said, the angles are what counts right now. Number 7 is at a better angle if you're going to come to this mark, correct?
Yeah, not only that, but for those of you that remember high school trigonometry, because I know everybody loves high school trigonometry.
Not me.
The farther the boats get apart, the more leverage there is. In other words, the more there's an opportunity for one or the other teams to pass based on these wind shifts. So just like leverage in any situation, the stock market, for example, or any sort of gambling, the further you get apart, the greater the risk is. So the teams really have to read the water carefully to assess their risk in these wind shifts.
Well, and Sehested, it looks to me right now, did a very fine job of making that choice. As we saw when they came together, they were almost bow to bow, and Sehested said, you know what, I want to stick to the right, or our left, looking at them, and look at them all powered up, coming across with great speed. These are the Danes. He's a 5-time national champion. This is an international event. We have Australians, New Zealand, Danes, U.S. Virgin Islands, although that is a U.S. Virgin Islands. In the Olympics, it is considered another country. And we have a lot of teams out here. 8 teams now. We started with 10. We've just been informed that the red mark is the windward mark. They are still fairly close, but I believe, what do you think, about 2-3 boat lengths, Dobbs?
I think the Danes are in control here. And, you know, this is, I would say, not a surprising result, but, you know, they didn't do as well in the first round as I expected them to. The Danes come from a very strong culture of match race sailing in Scandinavia. They have this sort of thing going on all the time. And teams from Sweden and Denmark in particular are very, very good because there's very well developed programs there. But they didn't do that well in the first round. They were coming on strong at the end. Now they've got to hold off Bill Hardesty.
And they're doing a great job right here. We're having a typical tacking duel where both boats are tacking, but rounding that mark so close to it. For those of you that don't match race, there is a difference in match racing with rounding that mark. If you touch the mark, it's okay as long as the umpire doesn't see it. And you can flag all day long and try to draw their attention, but it doesn't matter. If they didn't see it, they won't call it. You see the umpire boat following behind. What they're going to be looking for is to see if boat number 7 tries to take boat number 3 up or luff them up. When we've seen that in quite a few races this morning already.
I'm going to check in with Scotty.
And we have a third pair that's out there, and they have started, and it's Anna Tunnicliffe with an all-female crew. She is a gold medalist from the last Olympics in laser sailing, which is a one-person boat. And she's racing against Will Tiller, who was the leader after yesterday's racing. He'd only lost one race in all of the races yesterday. Will Tiller from New Zealand. So he's in boat number 1. Tunnicliffe in 4, Tiller in 1.
Well, we're going to get Scotty Dixon from the pre-start area to just talk us through the pre-start for our third match.
Okay, Scotty, go ahead. Scotty, go ahead. Talk to us.
Signal for Anna Tunnicliffe and Will Tiller, fairly uneventful, and we were joking on the chase boat here that these are two skippers that love to sail down speed, and that's what they did. They sat there head to wind, stopped in the water for probably 3 to 4 minutes. A little bit of aggression in the last minute, but it looks like Will Tiller, who has started to windward, and he is hiking very, very hard. Will's team, they know that Anna is bow out to leeward, and they're really trying to boat speed them. But coming into the leeward mark now, we've got Hardesty and Shested, and this is a repeat. There's another collision, and sure enough, it's a repeat of the first race today between these two, and expect to see a flag here any second at the yellow flag, and there's more flags, and we're just reversing out of the start. Sorry, we're just reversing out of the starting area, but that's a yellow flag. The umpire's reaching for a second yellow. So that's another double penalty. Bill Hardesty, and he hasn't gone around the leeward mark yet. He's going for his penalty. I don't know if he's entitled to do it there, but they've taken the flag down.
So he doesn't.
So Shested back in front, and Hardesty still carrying a penalty.
Yes, we saw that.
So good action out on the water, and back to you, Dobbs and Annie.
Okay, back to us, and we have Scotty Dixon out there on the water, one of our announcers. He's a great match racer, and he's watching it because we are so far away. We can't always tell, but Hardesty coming out this morning, I don't know what he had for dinner last night, Dobbs, but he is super, super aggressive this morning, and we saw in the first race him getting flags left and right, and he lost that race, and it was against... actually, it was against Sehested again. So this is 2 for 2. Hardesty being super aggressive and it going against him.
You know what? This is it's unfortunate the wind direction is where it is now. For those watching out here on the pier, come back tomorrow because the wind's actually going to be 180 degrees around the other side, and you'll see this kind of combat going on right in front of you, just a few meters off the seawall. But yeah, Bill is really putting it to the test. Now he's been sailing this year with Ian Williams, who's a former match race world champion on the World Match Racing Tour. So I think he's got some of that aggression in him, Annie.
Yeah, well, and he's the tactician for Ian. He's not the driver. And as he was telling us at the press conference, you know, he feels a little bit rusty in terms of the match racing driving. He has been sailing full time all year though, and he has just come off of a huge win, beating 83 other boats in the Etchells Worlds. However, this match racing is super aggressive, very, very tight, very different from fleet racing on Etchells. And we've got a really, really good race going over here. If you look over towards the lighthouse, number 1 and number 4, Tiller with the yellow flag is number 1, and Anna Tunnicliffe with the blue flag, number 4. So a match race going on here. There's quite a spread, though. Now that they're getting a little closer, it's easier to see that. Number 3 and 7, quite a split now. And we'll see. Do they? Yes, there's still a yellow flag on the umpire boat that's trailing behind number 7. So number 7 is Sehested. They're following him. They'll be tacking back in a little bit to come towards this red mark. They're all rounding the red mark.
Well, Annie, just watching boat number 1 approach the red mark. That's Will Tiller from New Zealand. He went through that big set of waves. That's a big factor out here with all the boat traffic, especially in light air. As they go through the waves, the boat stops. A big factor is getting the boat speed back up and having the teams do that. Now there goes Will Tiller setting the orange and white spinnaker in boat number 1. He's got a really comfortable lead over Anna Tunnicliffe in boat number 4, just approaching that top red mark. Jump in. Okay.
And we have these beautiful tall ships out here. Look at them. They're just all gathering. I bet they're having as much fun watching us as we're watching them. Very nice that they showed up on the same weekend we were here. And we're calling Scotty to see if anything's happening down at the starting line. Oh, finding out that he's at the top of the course. So the last pairing is Wilson on boat number 6. That's Don Wilson from the Chicago Match Racing Center. He is responsible for starting this really fun center, and he's racing against Jury, who's on boat number 2 with a yellow flag. Okay, so we've got Scotty at the top mark.
Yeah, Scotty, can you bring us into what's going on here in this very close match between Bill Hardesty and Nikolai Sested?
Yeah, Dobbs, we're following them around the top mark right now as the white and red Spinnaker from Sested goes up. And Sested just really having a great day of it today here. There were all kinds of flags and penalties in the first race against Hardesty, of which Sested was victorious. Looks like Hardesty's closed right up, but man, that whole bottom mark interaction, Bill Hardesty receiving a double penalty. He was less than impressed with the call by the umpires, but Sested seems to be sailing quite relaxed. It's almost like he's ripped off his rearview mirror and he's just going for it. He is getting quite light at the moment now, and Hardesty will be pushing hard to the end. Dobbs?
Well, are there any opportunities out there that you see for Bill Hardesty to try to close that gap, Scotty?
Yeah, he's actually gaining as we speak, Dobbs, and the problem when the teams go to the right side of the track looking upwind, it really gets light and fluky and shifty. There's a nice Simo drive by both boats, and Sested just doing the classic cover. He's bow out to leeward, so Hardesty throwing everything at him, but from where I'm sitting, running out of racetrack, Dobbs.
We'll copy that. Thanks very much for that report, Scotty. Meanwhile, we're going to go down to match 3 with Tunnicliffe and Tiller. Looks like Anna's closed the gap a little bit there. And in boat number 4, Anna Tunnicliffe, Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah, they're approaching rounding the bottom mark right now, and Will Tiller dropping his kite, and Anna Tunnicliffe hot on his heels, less than 2 feet behind. I can report from the other match that Laurie Jury is well in control over Don Wilson. So around the bottom mark now, it's Will Tiller continuing, and Anna Tunnicliffe not far behind, and now peeling away to the right. Dobbs?
Well, Scotty, from where you are on the racetrack and looking upwind, do you see a side that's favored? Is there any particularly favorable place to go on this race course?
Well, the thing that's a bit tricky, Dobbs, is every time we look up, we look at the flags streaming from the end of Navy Pier, and they're all showing left breeze, but there are clearly right shifts coming down the other side of the pier. So if you were to look at it objectively, you would say go left, 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 but there are boats that have gained on the right, so that makes it a bit of a lottery. Dobbs?
Aha, so no particular side, just play the shifts, try to keep clear air, kind of the basic sailing, eh?
Well, I'm sure my team would be advising me in these conditions. If I were helming, they would say start in front, extend and cover. So?
That's fair enough, Scotty, and we know you do that well. But it doesn't look like it's all over. I mean, Anna seems like she's keeping the pressure up on Will Tiller.
Yeah, she's doing her best hanging in there, and it is getting very light in places on the racetrack, and there's a bit of spectator wake also, and that's making it very difficult for the teams. Anna, to her credit, she's living in a very thin lane, and she's not tacking for the sake of tacking. She's picking her moments. Here she goes again, and Will Tiller straight on top. And I don't need to tell you, Dobbs, but it's almost like the Kiwi boys are working double time to keep Anna Tunnicliffe in the second row here, Dobbs.
Well, meanwhile, we got a little drama up here at the top where Don Wilson's going around the white mark and Laurie Jury's going around the red mark. So just like yesterday, we have some confusion on what the proper race course is.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can answer that one for you, Dobbs. We weren't in the pre-start area for that one, but I do recall hearing some Charlie Red signals for other matches, so we'll have to see how that one pans out, Dobbs.
Well, we just got word from the signal boat that, in fact, it was Charlie Red in match 4, which means that the race committee had signaled for Don Wilson and Laurie Jury to go around the red mark. So Don, unfortunately, I think for his team, has made a mistake here, at least according to our sources. So yeah, this not a great start for Don in this next this next round, Annie?
No, that's not. It's, you know, it's hard to keep track of everything when you're doing that pre-start. You have to really pay attention to what the race committee's doing. Unlike fleet racing, where you have a lot of time, everybody's kind of doing the same thing. You might be able to watch one boat in front of you. With only 2 boats, if you're in the lead, you better know where you're going.
Well, that's right, and there is a lot of pressure on the tactician, as you say. And tactician for Don this week is Steve Hunt. And
one of the best.
Steve is very, very good, fellow San Diegan. And they are actually training, using this event to train up for a big event in a couple weeks called the Canada's Cup, where Don is a defending champion. He wants to beat the Canadian competition and retain the Canada's Cup here in the U.S., and to do that, you can't make unforced errors like this.
No, you can't. And there's 4 people on board, so out of the 4, one of them could have caught it. So it's not just the driver or the tactician. It's a heads-up game. But as we know, because we've both match raced a lot, when you're getting ready for that 5-minute or your 4-minute, and once you get into that dance that I like to call it, that pre-start maneuvering with all the circling going, your head is spinning. It's really, really game on, and looking for a flag on the race committee boat is something they had to keep track of, but they hadn't. So bad luck for them, or you know, bad mistake. They'll live and learn for that. But there are a lot of races, right? We've got a lot of races still to go. This is only the first out of 7 groups, flights, if you will.
Yeah, that's right. The rest of today we hope to fill up with match race sailing until the weather approaches later in the afternoon. We don't know the timing on that, but we have people looking at the radar. They're saying it's all big and scary west of here, but it seems like a beautiful day here now, Annie.
Yeah, it's Chicago, and I've raced here enough, even though I live in San Diego. I've been here plenty of times for the Chicago Mac and the Verve, and you have too, and it can change. So I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed and hope that big bad whatever stays over there. I see something building, but we'll just keep it over there.
That's over in Michigan. Yeah, we don't care what happens over there.
Well, I have some friends over there too. I'm sure you do too. But we over here are enjoying the sunshine. This is beautiful. If we could just get rid of those bugs.
Well, the breeze does look promising, though. I mean, while we're sitting here in a little bit of a windless hole in the lee of Navy Pier, over on the race course and over on, particularly on the left side, this westerly breeze is, you know, very, very saleable 7-8 knots. Oh, okay.
So
we don't have our table, though. That's the problem.
No, but we sit there and go like this.
All right. Yeah.
If you're game, I'm game, 'cause it's
If you want to go, sure, go for it. Because I'd like to actually, because I got radios and I want to be able to call these guys. But if you want to go, go.
That's what I thought. So we're going to sit here.
Well, we're just in the final throes of flight 1 in the second round of the Grade 2 Chicago Match Race Center's invitational event. Welcome to everyone who's just joined us here out on the end of Navy Pier. It's a lovely day. We have match race sailing here for your enjoyment. We have pared the competitors down from 10 teams to 8. These 8 teams, do we still have 5 nations amongst these 8? I think we do.
Yes, we do. We have Denmark. That's Nikolai Sehested. We have U.S. Virgin Islands. We have New Zealand. And I guess the Australian was eliminated. The 19-year-old Reese, he's sitting it out, but he had a great experience. We talked with him live this morning on the internet. Great kid. His team, they had 2 pickup crew from here in Chicago. In fact, several of the teams have local sailors on board because it's quite expensive to fly around the world constantly. And a lot of these guys living out of suitcases, going to regatta to regatta. Many of them do have sponsorship, but I would say nobody's getting rich doing this. It takes a while to build up your ranking and get up to the top of the ranking system so that you can actually get good prize money for the bigger events. So we're going to have a grade 1 here with prize money next month, aren't we, Dobbs? Tell us about that.
Yeah, we sure are. The winner of this event gets an automatic invitation to the grade 1 Chicago Cup that's going to happen here at Navy Pier 1 month from now, at the end of September, actually. And there's $65,000 in prize money purse available for the teams that are going to come from all over the world. Some of the teams that you see out here will be there, but not all. We've got some fresh faces coming in. The competition will be ratcheted up just a slightly higher notch. Grade 1 means that you need a higher percentage of your competitors in the top rankings, and it promises to be exciting. My guess is, from what I know of Chicago weather, Annie, is that it'll be a little cooler.
I hope so for those people that are watching. But you know what? I kind of like the heat and the warmth. And I'm sure if I lived here, I would be enjoying it that much more. And I love the energy that the people that live here have during the summer because their season is jam-packed with sailing. They just, they're so passionate about it. And they come out here and they race really hard. This Chicago Match Racing Center has been just a wonderful opportunity for young sailors and all ages, actually, to come out here and hone their skills. Match racing being one of the most intense parts of our sport. You're only racing against one other boat, but crew work and teamwork and having the rules, the knowledge of the rules is just crucial. So rounding this top mark, this is Don Wilson. He's rounding, if I say it loud, he might hear me, but he's rounding the wrong mark. And they have a little problem with their spinnaker at the end of the pole. They'll take it out and try it again. Push it back out again. They're sticking with their guns, though. They rounded the wrong mark twice.
They've done it on principle, Annie.
Yeah. And there is a red flag flying on the port side of their boat. That is what they fly when they have a protest against the race committee or some kind of technical foul. Normally, when there's a part 2 or a collision type of foul, they want to draw attention to the umpires. They'll raise a flag that's orange and red, but this red flag that's solid that we use in other fleet racing is drawing the attention. They don't like the idea that they went to the wrong mark.
Well, they certainly won't. Of course, there'll be a hearing
immediately.
Yeah. Well, no, they can actually postpone the hearing. Yeah, they can postpone it till the end of the day if they want to keep the program going. But my guess is that there'll be a hanging after the hearing.
It'll be a quick decision, I think. And let's find out if Scotty's seeing anything on the race course. I'm not sure that there's much to see, but let's check in with our buddy Scotty and see if he's got anything to offer. This was the last pair for flight number 1 and round robin 2, so we'll get some scores. Okay, stand by for Scotty. He's going to interview Will Tiller. That's a New Zealander who just raced against Anna Tunnicliffe's team, and they won.
Okay, Scotty, so from out on the water, you've got Will Tiller with you. He just defeated Anna Tunnicliffe. Can he give us a few words of wisdom and how that match went?
Yeah, I'm right next to, right alongside Will and his team, actually, Dobbs, and Will, it got close towards the end there.
Yeah, we thought we had that one by a solid lead most of the way around the track, and then just coming to the finish line, we missed quite a key shift, and she managed to catch up. Almost got us on the line there, but lucky the boys pulled off a good job at the end, and we just managed to pip it.
And could you repeat for me the word you just used to describe the race course, Will?
A little bit funky, that's for sure. There's shifts coming from everywhere, and sometimes there's no wind, and the next time you've got 5-10 knots past, so yeah, we've got a bit on.
Okay, well there you go, Dobbs and Annie, that's the word right from the horse's mouth. Very out here on the racetrack, and Will and the boys chalked down another victory, but Anna Tunnicliffe came on strong right at the end. So, as we were saying earlier, it's one of those days where it's never say die. Dobbs?
Well, thanks very much, Scotty, and our producers have done a nice job for those watching online of running the Google Translate from Kiwi to a recognizable form of English. But thanks very much for that. Funky race course out there. And we are going to try to get a...
That's right, Dobbs. I'll translate for a quarter, no problem. But, yeah, absolute minefield out here. And I think, as we saw, Will Tiller had a comfortable lead, well, reasonably comfortable by yesterday's standards, let's say, and around the last mark. And the boats, Anna Tunnicliffe and Will Tiller were overlapped at the finish, and Will Tiller winning that one by about half a boat length. So, yeah, let's well, we can look forward to some more lead changes and exciting racing, Dobbs.
Well, thanks for that. You know, we had no idea from where we are up on the pier. We could see that Anna had a chance at closing down, but we hadn't realized it had closed that quickly. So we're going to throw to you more often when those matches get that close. Yeah,
copy that, Dobbs. And I would have keyed in, but to be honest, we weren't paying attention to that match at that moment. And then when we looked up, they were on the finish line and overlapped. And yeah, as you were saying, it hadn't really occurred to us that she could catch up that much. But just goes to show we need to pay attention to every match at every moment. Dobbs?
Well, thanks very much for that, Scotty. So, Annie, we can't keep our eye off the ball out here. It's changing all the time. One last request, if we could, Scotty, is if you could get us confirmation from the umpires as to whether or not they'll have a hearing for a red flag protest. Don Wilson, we think, went around the wrong mark in the last match, but you know, we don't know the outcome or what's been decided.
Okay, copy that, Dobbs. I'll see if I can harass some officials and see what we come up with. Over.
Well, you do that so well, Scotty. Thanks very much.
All right, well, until we hear back from Scotty, we're going to take a short break. For Dobbs Davis, I'm Annie Gardner. We're out here at the end of the Navy Pier. We're announcing for the Chicago Match Racing Center's Grade 2 Invitational. Thank you for coming down and watching. We have 6 more flights today to finish up Round Robin 2. Yesterday we had 10 races. Today we have had 1 flight, actually 2 more flights. But we have finished the first flight of Round Robin 2. And stand by. We'll let you know what Scotty finds out about that last race of the 2 different boats going to different windward marks. And we'll let you know when they're starting the sequence for the next pairing.